Welcome back to Crossroaded, your wide open moto podcast. This week we got a doubleheader that we're going to be discussing Paris Supercross and WSX round two. But first, let me welcome in my co-host Justin. What's up, Justin?
What's up, Eric? A little bit of a double dose of Supercross, completely opposite sides of the world, too.
Yeah, it sure has. One race was at basically the middle of the day in the afternoon. The other one was kind of later at night, so we had everything going on. But it was a great weekend of racing. We'll jump into it. But first and foremost, a little developing story that was announced today, something that we've all kind of been anticipating, the rumors going around, but Troy Lee, Red Bull Ducati officially did their team announcement today, and they had Justin Barsha and Dylan Ferrandis. Honestly, I see the pictures. It just looks like the Red Bull Gas team. It really doesn't look very much different, but hey, I'm expecting there to be some fire kits out of those two. But yeah, what do you think of that team?
Yeah, I mean, Ferrandis kind of turned it up a little bit and got a little bit more consistent at the end of the year, but it seemed like he was hurt a lot of it. It'd be interesting to see how the new bike, how he likes it, because he did like that Honda quite a bit. So it'd be interesting to see. I think Barsha, I mean, I think it's everybody from the Gas team, I think, is over there, with Ducati, because it's just Troy Lee's team. So, like you said, it does kind of look like a gas. So.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting, and like you said, Troy Lee always does those one-off gears. I think that's what I like about a lot of the Troy Lee stuff, is he has the freedom to run pretty much whatever he wants, and he gets creative with it, with him being an artist and stuff like that. So it'd be cool. It's just another manufacturer in our sport, and more money, more factory rides. More people get to see.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see how the bike holds up, right? Obviously, we've seen it do a couple of MXGPs, but never out there on Supercross. They didn't go the Triumph way of doing a 250 first, they're just going straight into 450, but they have more than capable riders to kind of put that bike to the test. And hey, we'll find out, come Anaheim 1 and see how good this Ducati bike is. But I mean, I think that's really kind of the last bit of the off-season rumors. I think everything else is kind of set in stone right now. So yeah, all the dust is settled, and we know who's where and who's going to be lining up on what on A1. And there's a lot of changes, so it's already going to kind of put that exciting factor right into play.
Yeah, it's gonna be great. I can't wait for A1. I wish it was tomorrow, honestly. Like this off season's weird, but the World Supercross is kind of, filling in for that void of our racing that we normally don't have. So I mean, it's kind of nice. It's kind of keeping us, at least still hung in on the sport a little bit. We're always in it, but just for those casual fans, just give them more races to watch. And I'm definitely gonna soak it up as much as possible because, oh shit, we got mini O's coming up too, so I'm about to be watching a bunch of amateurs racing for a week straight on kids
Any
I don't
any
even
bit that you
know.
can get, any
Yeah,
little tad
yeah,
bit that you can get.
yeah. I'd be driving to work and stuff like that between calls, watching some kids on a 65 yard sale on a supercross track. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it'd be cool to see them in the sport, and I think Barsha. I mean, who knows that does he? I don't think he gets any better than what he was on the gas, and I don't think the same for
No, I don't think
Ferrandis.
so
I
either.
think
I mean,
I
both
think
of them are
it's
kind of at the tail end of their careers, anyways. I mean, Brandis is a little bit younger, but Supercross has never really been his thing. So you put him on a brand new manufacturer that has no testing to go off of. Who knows? I
yeah.
mean, I could see a couple, maybe a DNF here and there for both of these guys. They're gonna have some trials and failures while they're out there. So I mean, we'll see how it goes. But nonetheless, like you said, it's another manufacturer, it's another ride that these guys can hop on. And then speaking of another ride, just kind of reminded me. So the Triumph team talked about the 450. It sounds like Jordan Smith was going to race it, but
Hmm.
he announced that he's going to have some shoulder surgery, so he's going to even miss the first couple rounds of Supercross too. So we won't even see that Triumph 450 out there because I don't think they've named a sec. Honestly, they haven't even named who the riders are.
So they have, I think they're staying with the kind of the same team they've had with Fortner, Swole, Styles Robinson is going to be a test rider for them, since he kind of retired, which I could see him coming out, and re-racing if he gets back into, wanting to ride. And then I think it's Harup is racing 450 outdoors. So I
Yeah,
wonder if maybe he fills in. I don't know anything about his Supercross experience. I don't think he has
right.
any. So maybe they'd put him on him just to have some experience and, to have a bike out there. But I didn't even hear about the Jordan Smith news.
Yeah, I mean, you think, I mean, it's the debut of the Triumph 450. They're going to want someone out there on the bike, so you got to think that they're going to fill it. But yeah, I just saw that news today drop about Jordan Smith. It's all from the Vegas crash, that crazy
Yeah.
catapult that he had in the sand section, and I guess he tore his rotator cuff, and that's what it came down to. So yeah, he'll miss the first few rounds, but something to keep an eye on
I'm
with
surprised he's
Triumph to
just
see who they
doing
fill in.
that.
Yeah, no kidding, right? I don't know if maybe they thought that it wasn't going to be as bad, and then maybe he was right and ended up making it worse. Who knows? In this sport, not everything gets let out.
Oh, come
But
on, not
yeah.
our sport. Not our sport. Come on, dude. There's no secrets or, the bullshit behind the closed doors. I
Well, all
did
right,
see
let's get it. Go ahead.
talking about breaking news, Bennett confirmed his departure from Star today. I think
Yeah,
he's supposed to be going to Husky Austria brand, right? Is that
I
what we
thought that's
kind
what I
of that's
saw.
yeah.
Yeah, him
But
with who was it, Cochran and
yeah, because they haven't announced the Husky team yet. I wonder if they're still trying to find a title sponsor. Because I heard Rockstar was trying to step out.
yeah, I mean, very well could be. There are some things still, I guess, still up in the air with the off season right now, more on the smaller 250 teams, but hey, just something that we'll keep our eye on. Well, all right, let's go into the racing. We'll start off with the Paris Supercross. This is a 2-day event. Some big names that are out there: Cooper Webb, Lawrence, Hunter Lawrence. Malcolm was out there. Tom Bial made his debut on his 450, which we'll get into that. But first and foremost, looking at that track, I mean, it looked like a decent track. The whoops were big. They always look good when they're smoothed over. But to me, I was really surprised that after day one, they didn't make any changes. They just kind of left it how it is. Which, I mean, if you look at Arena Cross when they do the double headers, they even change the track a little bit. So I don't know. I was a little disappointed that they just kind of left it all the same for day two. But what do you think of the track layout and everything over there at Paris?
Yeah, I love how they prep the whoops. I think their whoops always hold up so much better. I mean, I know we always talk about it, but I think with us, you gotta think we have a lot more riders coming across the
Yeah.
whoops, a lot more racing. But I love the way they prep them. I think they do hold up a little bit better for the guys. But like you said, you would think they would do a little bit more track changes. But also, if you look at it, they do a night show and then they go straight into a day show. So it's
Yeah.
not like it's two nights to nights, because they still have to do qualifying and
But
practice
even if they just
Saturday.
changed up
So,
like a rhythm section, like here and
hmm
there, or just
yeah.
something different, but they literally just left it the exact same. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought last year or something here at AMA, they tried to do those roller whoops and they didn't really work out.
I think it was too time consuming. Because if
Yeah.
you I mean, thank God I bought the Paris subscription to watch it, and thank God I wasn't waiting in real time. There's so much
hmm
downtime in that Paris Supercross. Like if they
Yes.
had it is insane, dude. Like they race back to back motos, and then dude, you're sitting there for an hour before you see
Yeah.
bikes on the track again. I mean, I get it. Yeah, they do the freestyle. One thing we need to have the handlebar race in America. Oh my
Yeah,
God,
seeing him
dude.
kind of trying to run up the finish line, the booter,
Yeah,
like the
I
landing, dude. I'm like, that thing's steep as hell.
I thought the dude knocked himself out on the swing arm, dude, when he fell.
Yeah.
But I'm like, could you imagine that in America with 60,000 fans, dude, screaming,
Oh
yelling,
yeah.
dude? It would be freaking electric. But, of course, probably some waivers insurance thing, they're not going to allow it. But,
Yeah, but yeah, then
uh,
they had like some 65 race. They had some electric
mhm.
bicycle race, which they were setting those things to the whoops on
Yeah,
like
dude.
Stasics, basically. I'm like,
Yeah.
but yeah, to your point, I kind of had this, in our new segment, the good, the bad, and the ugly. But yeah, the broadcast, man, it just had a lot of downtime. There's a lot of time where it was literally just a view that was just looking at the stadium with nothing going on.
Yeah, no
So
announcers.
yeah, but yeah, overall, and it was a really long broadcast too. Day two was honestly the exact same thing. Still all the same races, all the same freestyle. So I get it, they're trying to put on a show, but yeah, for those watching back at home, I can't imagine in person it was probably just as boring too, with all the dead time that was going on.
Yeah, they got to
Um,
have something going on in the pits or something like that in between. I mean, I don't even know if they have pits. I have no clue what even the situation
yeah,
is
right.
like for the stadium. Dude.
But let's start off with the 250 class. So both days, really, Clout and Bourdon really battled it out. They were way ahead of the group. It was those two all the way through, but Bourdon ends up gets the title, the Prince title, because Clout ends up going down. I think it was race two on day two.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, really, no surprise. I mean, Bourdon, we see him do some great rides last year. Out here, I think he was on the Suzuki, so no surprise.
Mm-hmm.
He was a consistent top 10 guy. Clout, that was a little bit, kind of surprising. We don't see him in the U.S. Nearly as much, I don't think. But I mean, aside from those two, I mean, that was really all that 250 class had was just those two guys battling it out.
Yeah, I'm honestly kind of surprised that's all they had for 250 guys for Paris. Normally they have a couple. I think Shimoda did it last year. Obviously
Yep.
Vial would have done it, but obviously
Yep.
he's stepping up to 450s. So it kind of sucks there wasn't anyone else. It was interesting because Clout's normally a 450 guy and he's been a 450 guy for
Yeah.
I think a long time. And so he dropped down to race a 250, but if the money's there, I'm showing up. So it's probably what it was.
Yeah.
And they pay pretty good. And like you said, Bourdon, yeah, rode really well. I think he's been riding a couple of did he ride World Supercross? I think he raced World Supercross last week.
Clout, maybe. I mean, I see him too. I
No,
see him. He's
Bourdon.
lined up for
No,
Oz
Bourdon.
next.
No, Bourdon.
Oh, Board. I don't think so. I haven't seen
I
his
thought.
name
Oh, I
anywhere.
thought. I thought he was World Supercross, but I've been seeing him racing some of these off-season races. So it'd be interesting if we could carry it into America and maybe have a good, solid top 10 Supercross season, which would be good for him.
Yeah, but yeah, I agree. I think this 250 class is a little bit weak. I'm surprised no one from the U.S. sent someone over, even the club guys, someone get over there, and do a couple races. So yeah, I mean, 250 class was pretty weak. Another thing that was kind of cool was we're seeing it a little bit more and more, but Kalana Humphrey was out there on the Stark, and I mean, he was running sixth place for a while now. Like I said, the field wasn't much to it, but Stark's starting to get a few more guys competing in these top level races and getting that bike out there. So that was cool. Kalani ended up crashing. I think it was day two or something like that, and that was kind of the end of it. But it was cool to see him out there on the Stark and putting in a decent result in a real Supercross. We see him do arena cross, but him actually going out there doing full Supercross, he looked pretty good.
Yeah, you got to think Stark's going to be coming to AMA Supercross very soon. You have to think it with the way that FIM's allowing it. Like you said, Paris kind of doing it now. A lot of these places are starting to allow it, and it just comes down to being able to cap them. Excuse me. So like the capping of the power, I think is just the biggest issue. 250, I feel like it'd just be harder to ride the Stark. But I think the 450 class of Stark would be great. But I like Jason Thomas, I think was saying on the broadcast, there's no like RPMs when you go through
Hmm.
whoops. So whoops are way different and it struggles in whoops. So we know how much that's a factor in Supercross. Look at Justin Cooper. I mean, he could beat everyone else on the track, but we know he ain't winning the main because he got to go through whoops. So, um,
Yeah.
it's cool to
And to
see
be
though what he's in.
honest, until you put an elite rider on that bike, it's not going to compete for wins. So if you're
Hmm.
going to continue to put these C riders, I'll say it, C pro riders out there like the Kalana Humphreys, Vince Freeze is maybe the best one that they have out there, but he hasn't done anything on it. But I mean, shoot, if you throw like a Barsha on there or an Anderson or one of these elite guys on a start and he starts winning, that's when there's going to be some, concerns, question, and there's going to be some major things. But until they start making waves and start winning races, I don't see why AMA just won't let them just go out there and just compete.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm interested to see. We saw Yamaha release their electric prototype. Honda's
Hmm.
tested their prototype. Trey Kennard raced it. So I'm almost curious when are some of these other brands maybe going to try to throw something out there. But also, you got to think it's just another team that these brands have to support, and another team that these brands are going to have to, if they start trying to do an electric and gas,
Yeah.
bikes and teams for one race, unless they do an electric series. I mean, if we do an electric series, which we're not going to be fans of, because we like hearing, that's the best part is hearing the bikes, smelling the race gas, but be able to take you to some smaller places, better places that you might not be able to before. So it'd be interesting
Yeah,
to
I
see what
mean,
happens in the
look at
future.
Arena Cross. They try to do it. As far
Hmm.
I know, Arena Cross has only done like a round, but I haven't seen it make a return. So it doesn't seem like they can get enough people to go out there and ride and race these things, or at least guys that can
Hmm.
actually race at a high level. Justin Bogle is out there, but that's really kind of been it, really the biggest name other than Vince Freeze, but it's not like Freeze is going to come over here and race a Stark. So, I mean, yeah, well, definitely something to kind of keep an eye on and see how it goes, but it's just cool to see him just kind of getting involved and racing with these guys. Um, all right, well, going over into the 450 pairs class. This class is definitely a lot more action packed. I mean, we can't kick this off without talking about Mookie first. I mean, he won 4 out of the 6 races, swept day one. Guy looked unreal, blitzed the whoops and a track that there really wasn't much separation. He started hitting that quad on day two as well. Sounds like they knocked down the landing, but I mean, I don't know. This might have been the best that Malcolm has looked ever in a while. I mean, everything was just clicking for him, even his starts.
Yeah, Mookie killed it this weekend. I think this may have been the best I've ever seen Mookie ride in his life,
Yeah.
besides maybe Tampa Supercross. But he was absolutely killing it. He was a shocker. I was very surprised that his starts were that consistent because normally he's not a great starter. And the fact that he had the pace and he was tracking the guys down and passing them. It wasn't like
hmm
it was just hey, I got lucky, started up front, held them off, did everything I could. He passed him, he pulled gaps on him, he maintained gaps. So it was really good to see. I think he hit it day one. I think he hit that quad day one.
No,
I think
I thought I
someone
heard
hit it.
that no one hit it day one because I guess the landing was a lot
Oh,
steeper. Or no,
so
the
maybe
coming off the tabletop to hit it. I
was
guess they knocked down that landing a little bit so they could get over it a little bit
get
more and
over
send it.
it.
But
But he
from
was
what
the
I
first one, I
heard,
think,
it
to hit
sounds like
it
no
though,
one sent it.
right? He was the first one to hit it though, right?
I'm not sure if it was him
Okay.
or Jet. It might have been
Okay.
Jet.
Okay. I thought I heard something that he was the first one to hit
But I
it,
mean,
but
really, they were the only two that hit it in the entire 450 class. Cooper Webb didn't hit it, which I was surprising. Hunter didn't look like he ever sent it there either. So
I'm not
yeah,
shocked
I mean
Webb
that
didn't
was
hit
big.
it. Webb doesn't really hit stuff that crazy, send big normally. That'd be a
Yeah,
Tomac jump.
maybe. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like from the guys that were talking about, it didn't look like it was really that big of a jump. I mean, it was pretty safe. It sounded like you had all the momentum. You just kind of send it as long as you get clear. But yeah, I mean, no one else sent it. So maybe it was a little bit more intimidating in person. But yeah, so shout out to Mookie. I mean, he looked freaking awesome. Sounds like he was barely on the bike too. So that would be exciting to see how he's going to do heading into A1 if he can keep this up and stay healthy. In his FXR gear, I don't remember. Is this the first time he was in his FXR gear, or was he running it through
No,
outdoors?
he was running it through outdoors. I think he ran it through part of Supercross.
SMX
No,
too.
SMA. Yeah, he's been wearing it. But I thought that I was about to mention something. His gear looked good. I thought everything
He's always
flowed.
done that all white, all black kit,
Yeah,
even when he was with 7 gear. Looks like it's still going on. But yeah, I thought it looked good as well.
we'll have
Um,
our buddies will say something about FXR. We'll hear it later in the group chat.
all right, next topic that I have written down here is the Lawrence brothers. Man, they had a tough weekend. Both days, I think they both ended up going down. Jet went down in Super Pole, then he ended up getting kamikazed by Tom Vial. Hunter had a pretty nasty one in the whoops. The foot peg went through the helmet, but yeah, I mean, this is where with these off-season races, you don't really know what you could take from it. We don't know anything as far as what the Lawrence brothers have been training or how much riding they've been doing. It sounds like they didn't have their factory motors there too. So I don't know. What do you take away from the Lawrence brothers struggle? Now Jet, he did turn around day two, won 2 out of the 3 races, but yeah, far from the Jet that we're used to seeing.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't what we expected, Jet and them kind of ran. But I think last year they even struggled in the Paris Supercross as well. And
Yeah.
Webb won it. So
Yep.
maybe these off-season races they're just not really keen on and don't really do a good job at. It could be, they don't have what they're comfortable on, that 1% of comfortable will change how you ride. So, they're on
Yeah.
stock bikes pretty much. It sounds like they just had really a pipe and suspension on it, so that'd make a big difference as well. So I think it's kind of hard to really take anything because they weren't able to get their starts like they're used to.
hmm
JT'd still kick Mathis's ass on a stock bike, like you saw.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean it's hard to really judge for them because I mean, Jet, they always find a way, and
Yeah,
they're not racing 20 minutes either. So it's
yeah.
hard to really judge on that. And the track wasn't crazy technical.
No, very basic.
It wasn't broke. It didn't break down crazy. I think the dirt they have there is really good. I think it holds up really
Yeah.
good for the racing. So I think it's not much to really take away from the Lawrences. I think it's more of just a shocker what Mookie was able to do. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah, you can't take anything away from Mookie because he rode great. He looked comfortable. He by far the best guy out there. But yeah, I mean it's like I said, can't take much. I mean Hunter was probably one of the guys riding the most momentum too, and he had one of the worst weekends out of them all. So we'll see. They're supposed to be racing OzX this weekend. We'll see if they bounce back. But yeah, definitely kind of interesting, with those two. Um, Next thing I have on here, we talked about it a little bit. Tom Vial makes his 450 debut, coming right out of the gates. That very first lap, overshoots one of the rhythms, cases into the next one, and comic he's jet right into the beginning. And to me, when I saw that, I'm like, yep, that's exactly why you don't have a 450 ride in America because of shit like that. But yeah, what do you take from Tom Vial's debut?
I mean, I think it was pretty mediocre. I guess it's not bad for only being 2 days on the bike. It seems like he didn't really have much time on it. But yeah, that first lap, dude, our first straightaway, I was like, oh my God. I'm like, bro, he just killed Jet. I'm like, that Jet got away very lucky that nothing's broken and he was still able to
Yeah,
ride. Cause that could have been, I mean, that was a straight T-bone, dude. Jet's lucky he didn't break an arm or a leg or
yep,
something. So, I mean, God, that would be crazy. The headline: Vial hurts
yep.
Jet in Paris. So, yeah, I don't think it's much take off of that. But I think we will see Vial back on a 450 Supercross in America in a few years. Obviously, there's just no rides available right now. But you got to think we're going to go through a wave of Anderson, Barsha, Kenny,
Hmm.
Tomac, Webb.
Yep.
They're all going to be leaving, probably Mookie. So there's going to be a lot of
The
rides
next
opening
two or
up.
3 years, for sure, those guys will all
Yeah.
be gone, I think.
Yeah, and I think he's got a 3-year deal with Honda, so he can go back there, win a couple titles, ride Supercross here and there, do the Paris Supercross, and then come back over here when a factory ride opens up on a 450. Maybe he'll take
Yeah.
Prado's ride.
Yeah, and I with you. Oh, I think it was kind of mediocre. Like he ended up getting fifth in just about every race behind the studs, the Malcolms,
Yeah.
the Webb, the Hunters, the Jets. Day three he got a whole shot, led a few laps, so they fell back. But I mean, even Subs ended up beating him in one of the races too. Or like regardless if it was a 450 debut or not, he's still a two-time 250 Supercross champion. So there's still going to be those expectations, but. Really, he wasn't even close to those guys that were ahead of him. He was still well behind, and yeah, I mean, sounded like he went out there. He wanted to kind of prove a point, and to me, I don't think that's what he did. If anything, he just kind of let everyone know that kind of solidified that yeah, he wasn't ready for 450 Supercross, even on a fairly basic track like this. I mean, you put him at A1, he's probably battling for 15th,
Yeah.
behind those guys. Because think about everyone else that didn't show up. So yeah, I agree. I wasn't really impressed with it. We'll see how he does at MXGP, but this kind of comes out to my first question for you. Deegan did his 450 debut last week, 2 weekends ago. Vial had his 450 debut. Who had the better 450 debut?
Uh, well, I mean, I guess you gotta say Deegan. I mean, I think Deegan looked a whole lot more racier and better than Vial, I guess you can say did. I mean, I think Deegan's Deegan's overriding the bike, trying to do that 250 style on the 450, and it just doesn't work. And I think that's just him being young and being new on the 450, and he'll learn how to adapt to that.
Frying clutches.
Um, yeah, frying clutches left and right, blowing berms out, over jump, scrubbing a five
to
foot double.
me, to me, the way that I look at it is that Deegan was able to go out there and beat Christian Craig. He beat Anderson. You know, I don't think Tom Vial beats either one of those guys. Based off of what I've seen, and like I said, it's completely different field. Honestly, I want to say the track was honestly probably similar. Both of them were kind of both pretty basic. They had big long whoops in it, but I would have to agree. I think Deegan, obviously, he had last gate pick. He showed that he could come through the pack. whereas Vial, he kind of just stayed put to where he was. He was a little bit off the pace. But yeah, I would agree. I think Deegan had the better debut. We're gonna see him again next weekend. He's gonna be racing against Eli Tomac. I think Webb might be out there too. I'm not 100% sure,
I
but
think it's
yeah, I agree.
Webb, Tomac, Roxon, Anderson, Deegan. Um,
Craig
yeah,
Sabachi and all those
yeah,
guys.
all those guys. Yeah, I think the wild cards are Tomac, Webb, and Deegan. I don't think Jay
Yeah,
Coop's in it.
yeah, that could be it. But yeah, I'm with you. I'm excited to see Deegan go out there on the 450 again, actually get a legitimate gate pick and kind of see how he does hanging up there because we saw at race three. He got up there and he kind of hung out in third and he kind of stayed there behind, Roxon and Jay Coop, and now he's just gonna have more time. So, all right. Well, let's get into the new segment, the good, the bad, the ugly of Paris Supercross all in a whole. So I'll start out with the good, Justin. I have Mookie, like we talked about before, he looked great out there. We should change it to the great, the bad, and the ugly, but Mookie was awesome. What about you? Do you agree as far as the good that came from Paris?
I think the best thing that came out of Paris was Mookie proving, he's ready for A1 already, and like you said, it sounds like he hasn't been on the bike much. So for him to be coming out there and riding that, and he had bike issues. It seemed like the second day that he was
Mm-hmm.
even nervous about even racing, and he still did that. So,
Yeah.
it's really good on Mookie, and excited to see what he does this year.
Yeah. Now going into the bad segment, to me, I have Tom Vial's debut. It wasn't great. It was mediocre. Like I said, the kamikaze right off the get-go, but that's what I have as the bad as far as Paris Super. So what do you got for the bad category for Paris?
I guess I'd say Vial, or I think bad maybe just the Lawrences. Actually, I'll say the bad
Mm-hmm.
for the Lawrences, just because that's not typical of the Lawrences. I gotta save something for the ugly. Sorry, Vial, but
Yep.
the Lawrences I think were the bad part. I mean, they weren't. Some of it wasn't their fault. I mean, Hunter, down in that first corner, but then some of
Yep.
the other stuff that happened, I'd say them the bad.
Yeah, I with you. And then the ugly for me, it was the broadcast. It was
Yeah.
boring, the long pauses. Oftentimes I would turn it off and go to college football and try to flip it back, see if it was done. But that was the ugly for me, was just the broadcast. Way too much downtime, super long. I, to be honest, I don't really care to see the 65 races or the stay stick races or things like that. But what about you? What falls under the ugly category for you for Paris?
Yeah, I guess now that you do say that, I do got to say the broadcast over Vial. Vial get an immunity on this one, but yeah, the broadcast is definitely long. I don't know how or why they think that that's they need that long of a break. If anything, maybe space the races out a little bit or something,
Yeah.
not have a back to back. But yeah, there's just too much downtime. Like we were saying earlier, being a fan at one of those, dude, I spend enough money drinking beers, at a supercross, and I barely have time to go between races. If I had that much time between
Yep.
races, I wouldn't make it back to my seats.
Yeah, very true. Well, all right. Well, that wraps up for the Paris. Now let's go into WSX. They're out at Toronto. The first thing that stood out that made the impression here was just the overall track. I mean, this was a full-size man supercross track with
Beefy.
some booters on it, some really steep landings, some really technical rhythms that had the whoops. But the dirt was interesting. The dirt I don't know, it kind of reminded me of Seattle because it's kind of like that grayish texture, the gray color that we usually see. But I mean, but at the end of the day, I mean, we'll get into the racing, but it did get kind of rough. We saw some bikes dancing around quite a bit, some mistakes that were being made from these guys, and that could just all just attribute to different track maker. The rhythms are going to be a little bit different, different spaces. Same with the whoops, but yeah, what do you think of this WSX track?
I loved it actually. I think it was a lot more technical than our regular American Supercrosses just because of how steep everything looked like and everything wasn't the same, like to a full spec. I like having the steeper landings. It makes the guys have to be more on point.
Hmm.
It allows true separation. It slows down the racing, but also creates a bigger separation in racing because it shows which one of these guys can be smoother, more technical. It's not the same, triple quad triple that everyone can do, and then everyone's getting hurt because they're doing it at fifth gear on a supercross track. There
Yeah.
was a lot of different option lines. There was that one, I think, before the whoops. Some of them, it was that super steep little double they were doing, or they're using it as a wall jump, and then,
Hmm.
different rhythms, and that's what I like to see in Supercross. So I was actually very stoked and loved the track. It definitely did break down. I saw a video, there's a bunch of rocks in it, but it looked like it
Hmm.
was all like smooth rocks, like it was river rocks. And I think last year they said something that it's all comes from like where a glacier used to be or something like that, for
Huh.
the dirt. And I think they do the same for like kind of Seattle as well. So I guess that can kind of maybe play a factor to that weirdish gray kind of color and the smooth rocks. And
Yeah.
it did break down too.
Yeah, they even mixed some dirt too. They brought in some brown stuff to kind of mix it in there. So definitely interesting. Let's get to the racing. So with this one, the 250 class, I mean, Anstey still stays perfect. Shock was a little bit closer, but to me, this is kind of one of the downsides of WSX is that this 250 class is really, really top heavy. If you remove Anstey, this is a really great racing series of Shock and
Hmm.
Lopes battling it out, but Anstey stays perfect. He looks great out there, but once again, it's just hard to tell because he really doesn't have any legitimate competition to put himself up against.
I think for Anstey, I mean the Supercross last 2 years, he's been a title contender. One year his bike broke, the second year he got hurt. So I think for him it's just racing, and I think that's what's good to see is he needs to get gate drops, put laps down. So it's good to see him out there. Like you said, he's just he's waxing everyone because in reality, he's a title threat and a title contender in America. Shock and Lopes aren't that. So everything
Yeah.
kind of settling in exactly how it should be. I'm actually really stoked to see how well Lopes is riding because there was at one point he didn't know if he'd ever be able to ride Supercross again,
Hmm.
and it looks like he's actually riding really well. So the fact he's kind of pushing Shock and right there with Shock, is really good, and it really bums me out now that we didn't get to see what he did for Star, in 2023, after he had that surgery and he kind of didn't wasn't able to do anything.
Yeah, and who knows? Lopes is back training at club. He's riding one of their bikes that they're leasing out for this Rickwer racing team. But I mean, Shock gets second, Lopes get third. But I mean, Lopes is right on him. Who knows? Maybe we do see Lopes back at Club MX heading into it. Because I mean, Shock is Club MX's A guy, and Lopes has been all over him. And to me, I'm still waiting to see Shock take that extra step up. And I don't know. To me, I feel like he's kind of plateaued. I think he's kind of leveled out, and I just don't know if he's going to be able to make that next jump to where I don't know if he even has any top fives, but I just podium. I don't see that happening with Shock.
Yeah, you do make a good point. I think, yeah, Lopes has more potential than Shock does. Um, like you said, Shock has battled for being a privateer and he just showed his flashes, but like you said, I don't think he's a race winner. I think he just
No.
he's always the last one. He kind of just survives. That's how Shock is. He's there at the end of the day and, somehow he finishes third in the title because he made every single round. So, like you said, he's
Yeah, he's like
not,
the journeyman.
yeah,
He's like the
he's your
journeyman of
average.
motor. Like he's not the most talented. He's not the fastest, but he's consistent. He's good enough. He puts in good rides, and that's just what he does.
He's like the blue collar guy in moto. He's there every race,
Yeah.
shows up, dependable, gets hurt, he'll
Yep.
be there next week no matter what.
Yep. No, exactly. Anything else on the 250 class? Like I said, it's a pretty depleted field. Um, Not really much,
I mean,
excitement going on.
Colin Park and Cole Thompson were getting into it a little bit. Colin Park
Yeah, I did see that, and
went for
I don't
that
know.
kill.
Yeah, I don't. Colton Park is on this huge like confidence high that he thinks he should be up there battling for podiums and things like that. But I don't know. I'm watching the guy ride. He's battling with Cole Thompson. That's right where he belongs. He's getting pretty sketchy, but I still think he's quite a ways behind Lopes and Shock. I don't. I mean, we'll see. I don't see him really getting on a podium with those guys, but I don't know. He's riding some crazy high, and I don't know. I just don't see it.
Yeah, I don't think he does anything like that. But yeah, I thought it was just great. They were going back and forth, and then Thompson touched him, and Park's all pointing at the FIM guy,
Yeah.
like, "What are you gonna do about it?" or whatever. And
Yeah.
then I saw people were in Thompson's, comments saying same old shit. Thompson's a piece of
Yeah.
shit and all kinds of stuff. And his wife was all screenshotting it and talking shit about people that were commenting, like, "Oh, you look like you know how to ride," and all kinds of shit. So it was great to see. I love the drama
All right.
sometimes.
Let's go into the 450 class. I mean, the story going into this weekend and the story at the end of the weekend was all the same. Eli Tomac out there on the KTM wins two out of the three races out there. Kenny gets him back one. But yeah, I mean, hey, Tomac exceeded my expectations. Not really sure what we were going to see off that bike. The biggest thing that stood out to me were his starts. That has been the problem this whole past year, and he was able to get a start. And this track was one of those that if you got the start, it was very rewarding. But what is your overall opinion as far as Tomac's debut on that KTM?
God, these boys are in trouble if Tomac's getting starts like that every week. It is not going to be good. He still has that speed. He showed that speed last year. Obviously, the only issue is him staying healthy, which hopefully he can.
Hmm.
But I mean,
Yeah.
if he's getting starts like this in his first race with that team, that's great to see. I would love to hear if they had any issues with the cable clutch, if anything was getting hot, because we know how
Yeah.
Tomac is on the clutch. So I'd love to hear a little bit of info about that. But I mean, he looked good. I think he blitzed the woods really well. There's a couple sketchy moments at towards the
Hmm.
last race or two in the woods,
He
but
had a
those
couple
woods,
of over jumps, that could
yeah,
just be like I said, it could be the
which
track, the build. We
first
don't
race
really
too.
know.
And
Yeah.
he's got the most powerful motor KTM's ever built too, which I mean, are you shocked? I mean, that's probably the one thing Tomac probably second thing Tomac asked for besides, a cable clutch was I want
Yep.
a million horsepower coming out of this thing and don't put no governor on it. So I think for a first race, I mean there's nothing but, positives to come from that. And he went at Kenny right away and would he win two out of the three?
Yeah, but even the one that Kenny won, Tomac was behind him and he couldn't make the
Yeah.
pass. It's really
Yeah.
it's start dependent. And the biggest thing too, we talked about it, with Paris is still an off-season race. These are sprints. These are two 8-minute
Yeah.
races and a 12. They're basically heat races. Like, let's see what that bike, like we said, we saw it was kind of dancing a little bit there in the whoops and low over jumps. In AMA Anaheim, you still got to go another 10 minutes on a much rougher track. We know that
Mhm.
KTM has issues with that shock fading. So that's what I'm really curious. Like you said, it couldn't have been any better for Tomac. I mean, other than just sweeping it. But I mean, even with the starts, his best competition was Kenny, he's not known for being a whole shot artist either, But yeah, I mean, all positive for Tomac. But for me, it was great to see him out there. But I still want to see, we get to A1 full race and let's see what he looks like with that gate fully lined up. All right, going into the next one. So we already talked about Kenny ends up getting second overall. Jason Anderson has a good bounce back weekend, ends up getting on the podium there, but tough day for Jay Coop. He ends up finishing behind Savachi and Craig on the night. Honestly, I don't really recall seeing Jay Coop on the broadcast like
He had a
at all.
DNF. I think he had a DNF to second moto. I think he had a bike issue
Did
or
he?
something. I didn't see if he crashed or not, but I saw that he was at the end, so I don't know if something happened with his bike or something like that. But
Could have been. Um, but yeah, and then Savachi and Craig kind of up there, which now the title is going to be between Anderson and Craig, which I think Anderson should be able to
Roxon,
kind of walk away from this. Well, Roxon's the wild card; he's not doing all of them.
I think he is. They said that
Mm-mm.
he's on Pipes Motorsports for he's getting team points for the
No,
championship.
so
He's
yeah. So there was that rumor because Colt Nicholas was to come in and finish the last two, but Roxon's only doing three. Lewis Phillips
oh, that's
reported
what
that Roxon was gonna do all 5 rounds, but then the offer got pulled.
oh,
So
really?
that's what I'm wondering if maybe going into it that was the plan, but then they signed Anderson and they're like, oh, sorry, no, like we're not gonna be able to do it. But Roxon's only doing three; he's not doing the full series.
See, so that makes sense. So I now that you say something about Nichols coming, I was hearing that with Roxon not racing, I think that Nichols' points are still going to count for Roxon for the
Which they're
championship.
not. Lewis Phillips kind of already put an end to
Did
that.
he?
That's not true. Yeah. They're still going to be totally separate. So yeah, that won't end up being the case.
Okay. Yeah, I was like, how weird is that? But that's what's weird. I think it was it the French? I think so, yeah. In Paris Supercross, Michael Hicks has been racing that, I think, the whole time. And he can't, the way they do their points, if you miss a round, you still get points for that round, and it's your average score or average points you scored in the previous round or whatever. Because
Interesting.
he was racing World Supercross this weekend. And
Yeah.
so he wasn't able to make the French Supercross, which was Paris. So he
Yeah.
still got points. So the guy that actually raced Paris Supercross said he's in the championship. The guy came in a point down and he lost like 3 or 4 points or something like that, even with Hicks not showing up because the way that
Jeez.
their point system works. But I guess it's for like one-off events, like if some of these riders have contracts to go do other races or whatever, like a big race comes up.
Yeah.
But
Hmm.
I'm like, could you imagine in Supercross if someone missed a race to go do something and they just
Yeah.
sat out a race because they were hurt or something and they got more points
Almost
than
like
what
a
they would have
drop
scored?
round, kind of.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
it'd be like a drop round where like say you got hurt, you could take a week off and still score more points than anyone.
Yeah, and speaking of just weird rules, did you hear about? I think it was Devin Simonson at WSX. He skipped the parade lap because he was having bike problems and barely made it to the gate, and he got DQ'd because he didn't do the parade lap.
Yeah, that's some bullshit.
Uh,
Yeah, I saw Roxon even say something. He's like, his bike was having problems. That he barely made the start, and you guys are gonna DQ him because he didn't do a sight lap. Like, you don't have to take a sight lap if you don't want to anyway, or normally you don't have to.
Yeah.
Like, you can stay on the
Well,
line if you want.
Anstey did an interview saying like, if it's raining, I'm not doing a sight lap. So does that mean I get DQ'd because I don't want to go out there in the rain? So.
Yeah,
Yeah, something that they kind of have to change. It's kind of a crazy rule. I guess they use the same rule to the MXGP, but they don't have any rule like that for the site lap. So yeah, kind of interesting, kind of a strange ruling there. WSX
yeah,
with the whole no
that
site lap thing doesn't make any sense to me.
that's some Bush League shit right there. That's why they're
All
racing
right,
in
let's go.
parks.
Yeah. All right, let's go to the good, the bad, the ugly as far as WSX. We'll start with you. What was the good for
The great,
WSX?
the great was seeing Tomac on the KTM. Although it hurts
Yeah.
my Yamaha Blue Crew family, to have him leave. But God, he looks so good out there, and just seeing him ride like Tomac does, he made that little. I mean, to watch the way he scrubbed that finish line to get around Anderson, dude. I'm like,
Yeah.
where the fuck is this Tomac
He
been
was
at,
throwing the
dude?
bike around like even
It,
just a fresh day. He was throwing opposite whips. He was doing turn
yeah.
downs. He was doing all kinds of stuff out there.
Yeah, and I think his corner speed, if you look at some of his corner entry speed he has on this KTM, looks way faster than anything I've seen on his Yamaha. Like he was jumping into the corners like it was nothing and just flying through them. So maybe, like Mason Simmons was talking about how, Tomac likes his rear end and how it's, the steel chassis and everything, how it handles really well and has a lot of rear end traction. So it'll be interesting to see what happens when we are in a full supercross.
Yeah, I remember last year, I think it was in Supercross when the Austrian bikes did really good. I think it was like hard pack tracks or something like that. They really stood out. And
Hmm.
Tomac has talked about the traction, the traction that he feels on that bike. So yeah, that very well, could be it. But yeah, I agree with you. The good it has to go to Tomac. He's definitely ahead of schedule. He still has what 2 months to go before A1, so
We'll get
he's
to see
only
him
going to get
again.
better. Where yeah, we'll see him again. I'm curious to see what that track's look like. He's going to have a little bit better competition too. Kenny will be there. Cooper Webb will be there. Deegan will be there, as well as along with everyone else. So yeah, it will be interesting to kind of see how he looks. Going into that next round. All right, what about the bad? Who do you have? What's the bad for you for WSX?
I think the bad is just got to be Justin Cooper. I think he obviously I don't know what happened that second motor that got his DNF, but kind of just wish-washy, didn't really do much. Kind of just
Yeah.
hung around there. Really there was nothing really outstanding, and it sounds like he had bike issues. So I guess that's really the bad. I guess I could put on someone because I mean, really, there wasn't much of the bad, I guess you could say, for the racing. I mean, kind of everything was
Yeah.
exactly how I expected it to, and I can't say bad to the track because the track was way better than I thought it would be. So,
Yeah.
I just kind of have to give it to JQ.
Yeah, I'm with you, right? I would have liked to see Jay Coop kind of up there battling with Tomac and Kenny, just kind of see what that would look like, but he really wasn't, kind of in the picture at all this weekend. It didn't seem like. All right, and then the last is the ugly. What do you have for the ugly for WSX?
Lala Turner. Lala Turner should never be allowed on a microphone again
Yeah.
until she has weeds literally like she has to go to like a university to talk or something. Like uh I mean we heard her I think it was S what was it press conference post race I
Something,
think for the
yeah, with Deegan
and
or something, yeah.
yeah, and her answer like, yeah, like, and dude, even Deegan and Jet were laughing at her, and I'm like, as a special guest, and dude, Blair's trying to say stuff to her, and she's just off the rails, and Emick is jumping in and having to save it, and it's just, I mean, she's a great rider on the bike, but sometimes people just
Yeah.
don't need to have a
I don't, maybe
microphone in
it's
their
just nerves.
hand.
Maybe she just gets really nervous, yeah, or something. But yeah, to me, the ugly, I have to put the 250 class. There's no competition. It's boring. It's not even really worth watching at this point.
Yeah,
But yeah, the La Turner, I mean, yeah,
they do.
unfortunately, it just interviews are
Well,
not her thing.
well. I can't, dude. I just
Yeah.
can't get her voice out of my head, dude. It just wants. I don't really know what's like going on. Like, I think the bike looks like really good. Like the way the bike looks in the corner is like what a Yamaha looks like, and it
Yeah.
just, dude, I just can't stand it. I even told my brother, I was like, yeah, I'm like, dude, I can't stand her. She's got to be the worst thing. And he never heard her before. And this was before the race. And then he heard her speaking and he asked me, he's like, is this the chick you're talking about? I'm like, yeah. He's like, I thought she was riding, not announcing. I'm like, oh no, she's announcing. I'm like, she was racing. She might actually not be too bad against some of these
Hmm.
guys, but I'm like, announcing, no, thank you.
Yeah. Well, all right. Anything else? 450 WSX. I think we kind of covered it all.
Yeah, nothing. I think just what we got coming up. We'll have World Supercross. We're gonna have Deegan, Tomac, Roxon, I think
Yep.
Webb, and
Yep.
then
That'll be
uh
that's in two
that's the
weekends.
29th, and then this upcoming weekend we have OzX Open, so we'll have Dino
Yep.
racing again, McElrath. I think Savachi does that as
Yep.
well. Uh,
Nicoletti.
Nicoletti. So I mean that should be good. Just period. They normally put on a good event. And with the Lawrences
Yeah.
there, it'd be interesting, if Davies is there. You said that he might be hurt, so
I could have swore I saw something that he was supposed to race, but then he had to pull out. I could be wrong, but I swear that's what it is. We'll have to look into it and see. But yeah, I mean the that field is even weaker than WSX and Paris. So if the Lawrences line up, they're gonna go 1-2. There's no one that's really gonna be able to, hold a light to those guys. But once again, it's still racing that we get to watch on the weekend. So we'll see how it goes. Not sure if we'll end up doing a show to cover it. And plus, it's Thanksgiving week as well. So we'll probably be back that following week. But thanks again for listening. Subscribe on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. You know where to find us. But hey, we will be back in a few weeks. Thanks for joining. Talk to you later.